and other top security officials across the country. Mark, we appreciate you being here with us. What were your biggest takeaways in hearing what Vice President Mike Pence and Christopher Wray, everything that they had to say about the upcoming Inauguration Day, a day that has a lot of people on edge, quite frankly?
Yeah, a couple of things stand out to me. Hi, Daytona. Big one being that there was so much emphasis on the fact that we've been through this, I think, 64 times before, some sort of large inauguration events, not just the president, but the Secret Service has been able to manage that. The challenge becomes certainly, this isn't your typical inauguration by any means, and they're aware of that, especially given what's taken place, the Capitol protest and the breakdown in coordination and communication in what they call the National Capital Corridor region. And as most of us know, Washington, D.C. is not a state. It is a district, and that was by design by our constitutional fathers. But that also presents a challenge in that how do you coordinate? And so through the years, there have been a number of agencies, strategic plans, operational plans put in place to make sure that there is security for civil unrest events, normal events. It houses 275 federal agencies, not to mention the state agencies and the local agencies. So that area has a tremendous amount of planning, personnel, law enforcement, intelligence, Department of Defense. So they coordinate quite extensively. 2 states, Maryland, Virginia, etc., provide aid. But something broke down during the Capitol protest. And that's in the back of the minds of an awful lot of these officials as to what took place there. How did we miss this? How did we not respond to it? And although the FBI is doing a wonderful job going out, processing, arresting people that were violating and causing unrest, there hasn't been a lot of time to be able to evaluate what took place and why others did not take place. So they're having to make sure to recover from that. So they're going to work double time. They're going to make sure that that Capitol and all of that area is secure, as we heard them talking about locking down the entire mall and even farther out, all of the downtown area, just as a precaution. Daytona?
Now, you're a former FEMA presidential appointee. How different does this preparation look like for this inauguration than ones in the past?
It's pretty similar. You heard him talk about it. 9 months out, number of different agencies, subcommittees. They're talking about, air reconnaissance, intelligence analysis. They have different committees working on different aspects of the inauguration. So that format is somewhat standard. There's no question about that. The challenge comes in is that a lot of people in positions of authority and decision-making are new to some extent. For instance, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary was the former FEMA administrator. So he's moved to a different position which oversees all of this: Secret Service, Customs, Coast Guard. All of those different agencies fall under the Department of Homeland Security. So you've also got, somebody new at the helm at FBI. There's just a lot of different people in different positions, not to mention those who have resigned from the president's cabinet. So those present some unique challenges in making sure they still have coordination and cooperation amongst all the agencies.
Yeah, I was literally just going to bring that up with Chad Wolf obviously stepping down from that acting position, heading the DHS. Does that hurt them in any way, especially so close to Inauguration Day?
Yeah, a little story. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He was getting ready to take over FEMA during the presidential transition. I said, "Hey, what are you doing? How you doing? Are you getting ready?" And he said, "Well, I landed in Washington, D.C., and I got met by the plane, and they informed me that DHS Secretary Chad Wolf had resigned, and I am now assuming, the lead for Federal Emergency Management Agency." Well, what happened to Pete Gaynor, the previous? Well, they've elevated him to the Department of Homeland Security lead. So in a short period of time, and for a short period of time, As of the 20th, it's all going to change a little bit. Now, a lot of these people will stay in place during the transition until they can get somebody permanent in those spots. But you still have some transition. You have a situation where people might not know each other and they're trying to direct agencies. The people who have moved into certain positions are very competent and operationally sound. That's not the issue. They have the individual capabilities. It's really the coordination of all, Daytona.
And now heading into the new administration, Biden's administration, his new appointee walking into that position, how do you foresee that going?
It should go pretty seamlessly. The new DHS, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, is Mayorkas. Now he's got to go through the Senate confirmations and that process. But given the political parties and the split in the Senate, you would think that those appointments should move fairly quickly. Fingers crossed that happens. And I'm going to call him Secretary-elect. I don't know if that's the right term. But Mayorkas for the Department of Homeland Security. He's familiar with this role. He's been around during the Obama administration, so it's not like he's coming in fresh. He's got his feet on the ground. I'm sure they're having discussions with some of these people, having some transition talks. But again, remember, it was difficult between some of the administrations and getting information to be able to make decisions on national defense and security.
Right. I'm curious here. It was Vice President Mike Pence who was leading this conversation. Is that traditional for the vice president to step up to the plate, or is it typically the president who would be leading a conversation like this?
Yeah, good question. It really depends upon the administration, the workload at the time. Sometimes they'll trade off, sometimes both will come. In this particular case, what he was doing was he was receiving a briefing from the top executives at the federal government, letting him know, and the administration, what's taking place, what's been done, what's going to be done, trying to issue some assurances, there's no question. One of the things that I thought was kind of remarkable was when you heard the FBI director talk about the number of actionable intelligence and chatter that they're picking up online. And he was concerned about that, which raises some concern not just in the national capital, but the state capitals as well.
Yeah, I found it interesting. They were talking specifically about armed protesters, because that's where it gets a little bit scary. Is this isn't just peaceful at this point. They're coming with an aim and a purpose. And I think that's what FBI is really gearing their focus towards. Do you feel the same way?
I do. And I think their concern is not, certainly the political climate in the country is a challenge. But what we also know is there were pipe bombs found in the Capitol after everybody was evacuated from that area and all the protesters were removed. But we also found pipe bombs in the Democratic and National Committee headquarters. So there is concern that that might be something that might transpire here. And again, what's happened is you've got governors across the country talking to each other on Zoom calls because they recognize that their capitals may be soft targets during this inauguration as well. So they're trying to take precautionary actions, but you can imagine the amount of workload that we're asking, just in particular the FBI. Go investigate the largest event, arrest a number of people, process them, oh, by the way, take care of inauguration too. It's a big task for these agencies.
Yeah, especially with so much focus being geared towards Washington, D.C. I just think it'll be really interesting to see here, and we heard it outlined from Mike Pence, but then also FBI Director Christopher Wray, both of them saying they think it will be a safe inauguration, that Americans should feel confident in that. Do you feel like they are just trying to give a sense of peace and relief to Americans, or do you feel like they truly mean that with everything, all their forces that they're putting behind this?
It's kind of a twofold for me. As strange as it sounds, the Capitol crisis that took place in the protest has now heightened awareness for all agencies at all levels of government to be on guard during this inauguration. That means anybody that's probably had a day off, it's been canceled. Everybody's going to be focused on what's taking place. You can see that in the number of National Guard people that they have brought into the Capitol already, and will probably stay a few days beyond the inauguration. So you can see them doubling down on it. So that's kind of the good news. The challenge becomes the amount of workload and coordination that takes place just after a challenging situation and unknown what happened there.
Mark Neveau, the former FEMA presidential appointee. You've been with us a few times here on NewsNOW from Fox. We appreciate you being here with us. Any last thoughts about this situation and moving forward into next week?
No, I would want to encourage, viewers to recognize that these agencies are going to do everything within their power to make sure this transition of power is safe and secure. They're Americans too, so they're going to do whatever's necessary. And our faith, our hope, and our concerns are with them.
Wise words there. Thank you so much for being here with us, and stay safe out there.
You too. Take care, Doug.
And again, bringing you everything beginning to end here on NewsNOW. Politics, COVID-19. We brought you that.